5 seconds. Well, good Monday morning, folks. Monday morning, man, I got caught in a time warp there all of a sudden. It's happy hump day. It's Wednesday, 4 minutes past 10 o'clock, 63 degrees. I'm just reprogramming my brain here real quick. I was having a flashback to Monday. I hate it when that happens. This morning on KRIM's Community Spotlight, we're talking with District 1 County Supervisor Steve Christensen. I almost said Ron Christensen. That goes to show how many years I've been doing this. Yeah.
I've been called worse. Good morning, Randy. Good morning, Room Country.
Yeah, and good morning to you. And we also have Ashlyn with us. She's our intern that comes in a couple times a week, and good to have you in here on the show this morning as well.
It is very good, thank you.
And now, as far as Gila County goes, first of all, it's been a couple of months since I've actually had a chance to be in the studio. It seems like every time you were on, I was stuck on the other side of a flooded creek.
The water was up.
That's right. That was the excuse I used anyway.
Yeah, yeah. So we've had a pretty good rain.
Yeah.
This last little bit.
And you know, it's kind of interesting too. I noticed that yesterday one of the news stories through Associated Press was that actually this morning that they're not going to do any big releases down through the Grand Canyon on the Colorado because they didn't get quite as much rain as they had hoped to, into the, feeding into the Lake Powell up there. But down here, boy, when you look at Roosevelt and all the impact, Payson had the wettest monsoon on record, and there's still water up to the Indian Point boat ramp down at Roosevelt, which I think is kind of a nice bellwether.
Yeah, we could always use more, but yeah, the reservoirs are down.
Right.
Up on the Colorado, and well, I went to Globe yesterday, so every time I cross the bridge I look to see how high the water is on the dam,
Right.
and I can see a couple of feet of the old dam stonework right now, so it's as full basically as it could have been prior to the new improved dam.
Right.
Yeah.
I was always intrigued when they were originally working on all of the new resources down there. That Indian Point boat ramp looked like it was just way out by itself in the middle of the desert, and I was thinking, man, that seems impossible, but lo and behold.
Yeah, build it and the water will come.
There you go. and it's a good thing for Gila County. Now, and real quick, I know we got a number of questions for you, but one of the things that I also noticed that was in the news here just recently was that down in Globe, you were able to get, the county was able to get several $1 million to help with some of the flood mitigation that's needing to be done down there. Much of that as a result of the burn scars from this last year.
Yeah, we really had a devastating fire down there. The two merged together, so I don't know if they call it the Telegraph or the Mescal. I think it merged into what they call the Telegraph. So it's a couple 100,000 acres burned in the mountains, created devastating floods. So thankfully, the state put together a fairly large fund. I was at that bill signing in the springtime, or actually it wasn't springtime, it was during the fires. And I was at that bill signing that freed up about $75 million to Arizona counties for fire and flood mitigation. And round numbers, we've already received about 10 million of that.
Yeah, for little old Gila County.
Yeah.
It's what, 3% privately held, roughly, or so, 3 to 5%.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty amazing.
It's amazing. We don't have to match it, nothing. It's just money that we can use to help mitigate all these problems. We've got culverts washed out, we've got bridges washed out, the roads are in horrible condition. We actually can help mitigate some stuff close to private properties and things. So, and we identified, we just approved for 4 other projects that we're going to get an 80% match on, and that project's 10 million for 4 projects down there. And so that meant our match was 270,000 2,700,000.
Okay.
2,700,000, if my memory serves.
2.7, wow.
Right, but we're going to get all of that covered, I believe, from the state. So there will be no money out of pocket from the taxpayers here in Gila County.
And with the another big project that, according to your county engineer that we had on the show here recently, the bridge project down across the Tonto Creek is still a go, and they're looking to actually, I think at last report, the contract was going to be let out for bid the 1st of February, would be awarded by the 1st of March, and dirt should be starting to be turned in March. So
Yeah.
that's going to be an interesting project to watch.
Interesting, and it's really a huge bridge. People probably don't understand how large this bridge is going to be, but what a great thing for the community, for safety.
Yeah.
For safety.
There's been a lot of lives lost, and not to mention just a lot of vehicles ruined. You know, and it's not worth the risk yet. As one who lives on the east side of the creek, I mean, you know, there are times where you just got to get across for one reason or another, and it causes people to sometimes take risks that they should not be taken.
It's going to mean there's going to be growth. Those properties will go up in price. There'll be more traffic. So there are some things that people would prefer not to happen.
Right.
But the safety factor and the convenience is going to far outweigh
Right.
the inconvenience.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
And now when it comes to construction projects, Ashlyn, I know that we were talking before going on the air today about the building that's being erected right over here across from the post office, and that brought up conversations about the districts in Gila County,
Mm-hmm.
and you were questioning that.
Oh, so I have to ask, what does it mean to be a District 1 county supervisor?
Well, thanks for the question, Ashland. There are 3 districts in Gila County, all right? Each district is represented by an individual. So we have District 1, which is where we are right now. You could basically call that northern Gila County, the Rim Country, that kind of a thing. And then we have District 2, which is Tonto Basin and down toward Globe, you know, that way, basically from Gila down. Mr. Tim Humphrey is the supervisor for that district. And then District 3 is Young, and it is over on the eastern side, all the way down to Young, and that's a very large district. It's consumes a great deal of geographical area. That's Woody Klein.
Right.
And so the 3 districts form the Board of Supervisors, and that's part of what I am. So that's how that works, and that means that we are basically like the council or the top tier within the county government to make policy decisions and approvals of budgets and things like that.
And the similar to the town council in Payson, the board of supervisors is that to the county.
Yes, that'd be fair representation. And so we're going through something called redistricting right now. Every 10 years, way back in 1780 something, the Congress said we're going to have a census done every decade, every 10 years.
Right.
And we've done that. And so what's the reason? The reason is to determine how many people live in the country, where they are, and then in order to balance that representation, districts are formed and lines and boundaries are formed so that equal representation occurs at the county level, the state level, and the federal level.
Makes sense. And so how long does this redistricting take?
It started already here in Gila County, and it's going to take several more months.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever you redistrict, this is something that I learned, that you have to take entire precincts into the boundary change.
Right.
You can't just jog across a precinct. So if you have to make a balance, and District 1 has had an increase in growth of people, I think it's around 900 people over the last 10 years. I know that sounds like a small
Only
number.
900 over the last decade. Wow.
Yeah, sounds kind of small number. I would have thought it was more. However, that's created an imbalance for District 2 and 3, which have actually lost some numbers. And so I'm almost certain they're going to redraw, which means they're going to take away some of District 1 and redistribute it somehow.
Right.
I don't know what that looks like. I'm not intimately involved in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be involved later.
Well, that sounds interesting, though. So, and that has a lot of other potential ramifications down the road as well.
Yes, yes, but not necessarily negative.
Right.
It just means that people that are now represented by District 1 might be represented by District 3 or 2.
Right.
As we go forward.
Now, as far as the building across from the post office here in Payson that the county's putting up,
Yep.
it looks like progress is being made. It looks like things have been dried in. I see lights on inside. The parking lot's getting paved. And how long before that's actually going to be usable?
It's going to be usable as soon as December for the assessor's office. So they're going to move, you might know that the assessor's office is in a smaller building behind the sheriff's department.
Right, a little modular thing or
It's
something?
kind of a modular or site built, looks like a modular. So that's going to become a parking lot, and we're going to move the assessor's office into the south part of the new building, which is really the front of the building where you would enter. And they're going to be in there. So that's going to be sort of a temporary occupation of the building. And it's because we're having some supply chain problems, as everybody else knows. We have our HVAC units sitting on a boat somewhere, probably
Yeah.
off the coast of California, and so that's going to create a delay for the full occupation, which should occur in February.
So just
If-
waiting on equipment.
waiting on equipment.
Wow.
The project was supposed to be completed in December, and so it's going to linger on a little bit longer. Yeah.
It's looking good though.
Yep. Thanks.
And again, nice central location and everything. That, which brings to mind, one of the other things we were talking about just before the show today was the fact that, it used to be, years ago, back when your dad was the District 1 County Supervisor, there was a lot less county facilities in Payson. I mean, mainly the jail and maybe a little bit else, but there wasn't really a whole lot here. And we've got a whole lot more county facilities in Payson now than we used to have.
Yeah. So so the county complex, where the sheriff's department is, and where all those buildings are, where the Chamber of Commerce is, all of that is county property.
Mm-hmm.
And so the acquisition of that property, not the sheriff's department, but the acquisition of that property, remember, it used to be Christensen Realty, not a relative. Well, it was David Christensen, or I can't remember. Anyway, the county bought that.
Oh, okay.
I believe it was during my father's tenure. So that was purchased. That whole property was purchased. And so all that's been developing ever since. The old Napa building, which is now our health department,
Right.
was purchased by the county a few years ago.
What a nice facelift they did to that too.
Yes, very nice.
That
And
made a big
so
improvement.
the presence, so if you go back 32 years, that's what we're talking about. You go back 32 years, the presence of county buildings and county footprint in Payson was considerably smaller than it's going to be when we move into this building in February. It's really great representation in northern Gila County, where everyone has said we've never had what we need up here. Now we're going to have what we need up here.
Right. And Ashley, I know you split your time between Payson and Gila, right? And down in Gila, with folks down there, I mean, are there concerns that you hear from any of the folks living down there that would be, I mean, obviously, you don't have Payson Police down there, you got the Gila County Sheriff's Office and things like that, but have you heard anyone down there concerned about county-related issues? I mean, it's always good to get perspective from some of our neighboring communities.
Honestly, I don't really go outside very much.
Don't go outside much. I hear you. Yeah, and that's going outside and talking to people can take you quite a ways down the road down there too. But it's interesting though, when I look at like Tonto Basin where I'm at, and you talk to people and the concerns that they have there. I mean, I think we all have different law enforcement concerns one way or the other. Some want more law enforcement oversight, some want less, and all kinds of different opinions. But it seems like each of these different districts is uniquely different in that with District 1, Payson being in District 1, and Payson has had some significant growth. I'm still astounded that we've only grown in District 1 by 900 over the past decade. I would have guessed a higher number, but there's been a lot of different factors going into that. Are the concerns that the other two county supervisors bring up in your meetings, are they often in contrast to the concerns that the folks here in District 1 are communicating to you?
Well, that's an interesting question. So the county is very diverse. Okay, so if you go all the way down to the south, it's mining, it's desert, it's old school 1880s.
Right.
That's where it started. Payson, the rim country, was very remote, very small. We never had mining. We never had a lot of money influx into Payson area, which started off as Little Green Valley and
Right.
all of that. So we don't have a magnificent brick structures in our old downtown. We don't have the money that you go to Globe and you can see, well, they had some money there. That's why that was the county seat.
Right.
And so, yes, there are differences. The concerns in northern Gila County are more forest health, watershed, controlled growth, having adequate water supplies. You know, Pine Strawberry struggles a lot with growth concerns.
Sure.
Okay, so the concerns there, and growth is going to occur. You can't stop it, you can't prevent it. You can only sort of manage it and control it and make sure that it's appropriate and all of that. But as far as government can't just step in and say, well, we just don't believe in your project. If the person wants to do a development and it fits within the appropriate zoning and all the other things, and they're able to get their adequate water supply, we can't say, well, we just don't want that. So it's a tightrope. You know, you just kind of walk in that line. So I represent, after living here for 33 years and understanding all of that, I take that knowledge and those concerns to the board in my decision making. And so District 1 is well represented, and now we can see a greater footprint in our buildings, and so that makes you feel better too.
Right. And you're absolutely right. I mean, Gila County is pretty diverse when you look at the other two districts as far as, well, I think, Woody Klein with District 3, I mean, that goes down and includes parts of the reservation down there and everything, doesn't it?
His district includes all 3 reservations in the county.
Wow.
Including our neighbors, the Tonto.
Oh, really?
So
he
goes all the way to the south, all the way up through Young, and then slivers on over and takes out takes the Tonto. He's got Chaparral Pines, he's got Strawberry, he's got Lion Springs, Diamond Point. He's got basically south of Frontier Street on the east side of the highway. All of that is his.
Wow.
And
yeah,
so,
I didn't realize that there was that much here that was part of District 3.
Yeah, so I admire him for having a district that vast and that diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Now that you've been in office, for quite a while, and you get your feet wet and all that, has there been one thing that kind of surprised you about your experience as a district supervisor?
Ooh, I don't know how to answer that. No, no major surprises other than, oh gosh, I'm trying to think, Randy. No real major surprises than,
that's good.
Well, if I might say, even though I didn't expect to have issues with or concerns with the type of people that work for Gila County, but I really was impressed at the quality of people that work for Gila County.
Right.
We have about 600 employees, and I mean, they're good people, they're hard workers, and God bless them, there's a lot of them that are working for wages that are really not where they need to be,
Sure.
but they're committed and all of that. And I'm really impressed with that, and I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, gotta love it.
Yeah.
And Ashlyn, as a high school senior, have you ever, even, briefly entertained the idea of later on you might like to run for public office? I'll take that as a no.
I don't really have any desire
Right.
to.
No big aspirations in that direction.
In a way.
Although you're studying drama, and sometimes at some of these meetings there can be a lot of drama.
There can be, yeah.
Politicians
Well,
can be pretty dramatic.
There you go. Yeah.
At 18, I'm not sure, other than if you were born at Kennedy, I'm not sure
Yeah, right.
many people at 18 are thinking about
Right.
public office.
Yeah, but it is, and one of the things that I've always found very interesting, whether it's the town council, the county board of supervisors, or at the state or federal levels, oftentimes there'll be, some topic that comes up that is somewhat polarizing, and you have to take a stand on an issue, and people at some of these meetings once in a while can really kind of get, I don't know, I don't try to figure out what the right word to use is, but I mean, it can get a little bit abrasive, and to be able to just, hear contrasting viewpoints and listen to everybody, and I mean, I think you do a pretty good job of making sure that you listen to everybody's concerns, but that's got to be difficult sometimes. I mean, on or off the record, I mean, there's got to be some times where you're maybe keeping a great poker face, but inside you're thinking, man, what cliff did this person fall off and hit their head? Tell me I'm wrong on that.
Dealing with people is a skill.
Sure it is.
Okay, so there are contrasting thoughts on many issues. So when I encounter that, I'm still representing both people, but I may not be able to agree with both positions. I have to pick one.
Mm-hmm.
So what I do is I kind of go back to just core beliefs on what is the best for the most. And I realize that's not going to make everyone happy, but I'm comfortable with that, knowing that that's just part of the job.
Right.
You got to do that. You've got to be able to make a decision. You can't just say, well, I see both sides of it and I just don't know what to do. That's not my job. My job is to make a decision.
Right.
So let me just give you an example. So 10 months or so I've been on this job. All of our votes at the Board of Supervisors have been unanimous and positive.
Right.
In other words, agreeing to it. By the time it comes to our meeting, the agenda has been vetted pretty well. So there's not a lot of controversy going on at the meeting. But we kind of had an emergency one a week ago, and it was for down in Tono Basin. I think it's the Rio River. Anyway, I can't remember the exact name of it, but we have to do an embankment improvement. It's right there in Pumpkin Center, and it's a bank improvement, okay? And it's a $300,000 project, of which we're gonna get funded like most of it. So the bid came in and he underbid it. He didn't understand the scope of work and then said, I want more money. Well, I don't think that's right. You bid a project, everything was given to him, and then he gets the low bid, and then he says, whoops, I made a mistake, I now need more money. So the project is so vital that we need to do it. Okay, so now you're in this rock, between a rock and a hard spot. So
Right.
Can we go to the second lowest bid? Well, if we do that, we're gonna miss our time window. If we miss our time window, then we lose the $300,000, and then the whole project goes away. So do we give him some more money? Well, we came to a negotiation, and it ended up that the county's gonna be out an additional $1,295 or something to get this done.
We're not talking
And so
big bucks.
we're not talking big bucks, but it's a principle to me.
Sure.
So I chose to be the last to vote, and I voted against it. And I voted against it because of principle. I know we need the project, I get it, and we're gonna have the project, it's gonna be done. But I said, no, that's wrong. We need to show that if you're gonna make a bid on one of our projects, that if you make a mistake, that's your mistake.
Right.
And
You
we're
can tell them.
not gonna babysit you to a better price.
Right.
Now, it still ended up being the low bid, by the way, just to let you know.
Oh, that's good. But I think it's good that, you gotta, once again, rest on your principles, and that's, when more and more, it just seems like, that's not something that's done by some folks.
Yeah, wait till we start getting into a situation where the federal government's gonna mandate vaccines.
Yeah.
For 100 employees or more. That might affect the county. So we'll see what kind of fireworks that might produce.
And we're just about out of time, but one last thing. I know that Forest Service has been busy here on the Tono National Forest, as well as up on the Coconino, starting to do some different prescribed broadcast burns and stuff, making things a little more fire safe and getting ready for the next fire season, as well as just kind of reinvigorating the ecosystem in general. Now, and that's something that obviously, as we've seen in the last couple of years, affects all of Gila County. I mean, boy, that bushfire wiped out a whole bunch of ecosystem down in there, and I know there's some restorative efforts going on there, but in all three districts, wildfire is a big topic.
Absolutely. Forest health is huge, and it belongs to the Forest Service, and we have to get them to act on it and pay for it.
Right.
And so they are doing some prescribed burns the last couple of days up by Pine, Strawberry. So that's good, but we're talking about millions of acres, and they're treating 10,000 or 40,000 or
And
something like that.
meanwhile, the Forefry project has come to a screeching halt.
It's come to a bit of an impasse, but they're going to rejuvenate it in a different way. I think they're going to try and do smaller bids, smaller projects, rather than these large 600,000 acre projects that they've been negotiating for 3 years and never have come to an agreement on how they could get it done with the contractors. And so they just threw it all out, and we're going to start over. So, yeah, not very exciting.
Yeah, and we'll have to talk more about that next time around. But,
Yeah.
District 1 County Supervisor for Gila County, Steve Christensen, thanks again for coming down and being with us. We'll look forward to this again next month.
Thank you, Randy, and thank you, Ashlyn.
Oh,
Good to
thank
see
you.
you. Yeah,
Nice to have some fresh ideas in here. For a change.
Absolutely.
I like it. And we're going to get you back more of your fresh music. As a matter of fact, got some tunes coming up from Billy Squire, Rare Earth, Brewer and Shipley, Guns N' Roses, Todd Rundgren, and a whole bunch more. But first, a quick look at Rim Country weather.
Weather forecast for Payson and surrounding areas.
There we go.
Now, meteorologist Scott Roberts.
Thanks.